Welcome to the God in Jesus Christ Ministries. I am your host, Pastor Michael M. Matthews, and I'd like to welcome you to our Saturday evening book Bible study. We'll be in the book of Leviticus. We'll also be in the book of Corinthians, First Corinthians, and the book of First Peter. Before I start, I'd like to give some acknowledgments to various ministries, and especially to my overseer, Apostle Ella J. Alexander of Victorious Living Faith Ministries, and that's in Brooklyn. I'm also like to give acknowledgement to Apostle Arthur Young and his wife Rosanna Young of Healing Water Ministries International and Keeping It Real, which you probably see on some Friday nights on Zoom. Also, I'd like to give an acknowledgement to Apostle Samuel Hunt and his wife, Prophetess Annie Hunt of New Things International Ministries, and they're out of North Carolina. Okay, and you probably see them too on most of all the ministries that I just mentioned are on the Zoom channel of Keeping It Real of Apostle Young, which is under the overseer, Apostle Ella, Ella Alexander. um, the next acknowledgement is Pastor Mark Dudley of Inspired Word Ministries. And Pastor Mark Dudley is also a DJ, just like myself, who DJs too. Apostle Sean Simpson of Battle Faith Ministries. Also, we have Pastor Rosetta Dixon, Souls for Veracity International Outreach Ministry. She does a Saturday morning prayer line on Saturday mornings. And Apostle Dennis R. Elder, Young Elder Jr. And he has a Bible study also. I think it's on Friday nights, if I'm not mistaken. And through our schedule that we have, all the ministries that's under Apostle Ella J. Alexander, we all have a certain days that we come online and minister to the live to the audience, and we all try to make sure that we can support each other in the Word of God. So that's why I said if it's Friday, because I do know he does something on Friday. But I think we also have our uh, Apostle Young, who has Friday too as well. I just don't have schedules in front of me right now. And he has his Bible study is Make Room in the Love. That's his Bible study. That's the title of his Bible study. These ministries are all part of the ministries that I'm with, and Apostle Ella J. Alexander, she is the overseer to all of these ministries. Also, I want to give an acknowledgement to the World Gospel Music Association. Its founder, Dr. Albert J. Lewis, who has the gospel show, which is called Gospel Hour, and that's in Newark, that airs in Newark, and I think it also airs in Nyack, New York. And he has Sounds of Gospel and the Good News. And with that show, the Gospel Hour, I have been a television. I've been the cameraman, the audio man, and now the director for that show for about maybe over 20 years, 20 something years, close to 20 something. Doctors say 30 something years, but I say over 20 years that I have been doing this for with Dr. Lewis. And it's been a pleasure doing it for him. So I want to give him that acknowledgement too, who also pushes me into the help me in my in my journey with this ministry. As we're gonna look into this now, as I said, we're going to be in the book of Leviticus, and today in part 4, we're looking at living holy. And God is going to speak to Moses, and he's going to tell Moses to give the people of Israel, who are the people of Israel, who are now going to get more of the laws, how to live holy, how to live righteously under God, and also how to worship Him. But we're going to see in this today in our Bible study, we're going to see how God is addressing the issue of the immoral relationships, the laws on immoral relationship. Um, so in Leviticus, God gives specific instructions to the Israelites on how to live holy lives through through uh, through through what they are, to what they are to eat, what they are to interact with each other, how to interact with each other. God wants them to be set apart and pure to His sight. So what God wants, He wants them. He's doing this to make them, as you probably, if you, when you hear them say set apart, you're not gonna be of the world. You're going to be different. You're going to be sort of like the outsider of the world. You're going to be apart from the world. So this is what God wants the Israelites to do back in this time. Also, we're going to look at how can we, what God has told the Israelites to be, how can we be it? And today, how can we put that, what we see the Israelites do, how can we put it to today and interact with that in today's in today's living? And it's going to be kind of hard because we're going to stumble with this. So let us go with this. And I'm going to say here, I'm going to start here. Today we can learn from these instructions and apply them to our own lives, to our own lives as we seek to live holy before God. So I have four parts to this that we're going to look at, and I'm going to go into part one. Now, the dietary laws we'll find for holiness, you will actually find that in Leviticus chapter 11. So all the laws and the dietary laws that you will see is in Leviticus 11. And I believe we went over those dietary laws, what you're not to eat, what you can eat, what you're not supposed to eat. If you eat certain things, you're going to be unclean. If you be unclean, you have to be outside of the camp for a certain amount of time, or various things like that. So you have the dietary laws. Oh, excuse me, my nose itch a little bit there. Okay, God lays out God lays out the Israelites, what the Israelites can and cannot eat. By following these dietary laws, the Israelites were showing the obedience to God and their desire to be holy before Him. Just as God instructed the Israelites on what foods to eat, we must also be mindful of what we consume, both physically and spiritually. That means what we consume, the foods we eat spiritually, and what information we take in spiritually. Because not all information we take in is good information for our spiritual body. We are called to nurture. We are called to nurture our bodies, which our bodies with what is good and pure, avoiding things that are harmful or def- defiling. So these are things that we must be mindful of, and very, very mindful of the things that we eat. And this is what we're seeing. So when you go back, I would advise you to go back, read chapter 11. I'm not going to double back to chapter 11. I'm going to tell you to read that chapter, and we're going to move forward on. So now we're going to be in chapter 18 and 19, 1 through 18, and then we're going to go to First Corinthians, and then we're going to go to First Peter. But just go back to Leviticus 11, and you'll get to see the dietary laws. Now we're going to get ready to move into chapter 18. Holiness and the holiness and relationship. This is Leviticus 18, 19, verse 1 through 8. So 18. So we're going to be in chapter 18. In Leviticus 18 and 19, God instructs the Israelites how to conduct themselves in their relationship with others. They are called to show love and respect to their neighbors, not to bear grudges or seek revenge. By living out these principles, the Israelites were demonstrating their commitment to holiness in their interactions with one another. Simplifying, we are called, similarly, we are called to love our neighbors and ourselves, and to trust and to treat others with kindness and compassion. Our relationship should reflect the holiness of God and His love for us. So now, I'm going to read into Leviticus 18, and in the beginning, I'm going to tell you I'm reading from the New American Standard Bible. I say international at one time, but it's the New American Standard Bible I'm reading from. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, I am the Lord your God. You shall not do what is done in the land of Egypt, where you live." So what, in other words, he's saying, what you did in Egypt, you're not to bring it here, nor are you to do what is done in the land of Canaan, where I'm bringing you. So what he's saying is, you're coming out of Egypt. What you did in Egypt, you leave in Egypt. Now, what you come here, new life. It's just like you leave one state. When you left that state, you left everything that was bad back there. Now you come into a new state. You're bringing new. You could becoming new. So this is what he's saying here. So it's the same thing with us here. What we did back then, what we did back in 2014, I mean 2020, 2024, 2023, we can't bring it into 2025. We got to come new. So he says here, going further, he says, you shall not walk in their statutes. You shall not walk in their statutes. In other words, you shall not walk the way they walk. You shall not walk within the laws, or they're not within the law, within the ways that they have done things. And verse 4, you are to perform my judgments and keep my statutes, to live in accordance with them. I am the Lord your God, so you shall keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a person follows them, then he will live by them. I am the Lord. So what he's saying is that the statutes he's giving you now, you cannot throw them away. You follow them. You follow these statutes. If you follow these statutes, you will be okay. But if you go against these statutes, you're going to have to deal with various things. So in here, this is dealing with immorality. Now, And verse 6, it says, none of you shall approach any blood relatives. So meaning blood relatives, you will not just deal with any of your blood relatives. And here's why. Here's what he's talking about when he says that. You're not to deal with any of your blood relatives of his, relative of his to uncover nakedness. So what he means by uncovered nakedness, meaning to have a relationship with. You're going to have an immoral relationship with that person. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father, meaning you shouldn't you shouldn't uncover the nakedness of having relationships with your father's wife. You see here in the same verse the nakedness of your mother, meaning if you was the daughter, you should not uncover your mother's nakedness with having sexual relationships with the husband. She is your mother. You are not to uncover her nakedness. So that is what he's saying. In other words, your father, you're not to go and have sexual relationships with your mother. You are not to go and have sexual relationships with your father. As we kind of read in the beginning of Genesis, there was a part of that in Genesis. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's wife, and that would be the mother. That would be the mother. That would be his mother. That means if you're a much older person, that's his wife. You should not have a sexual relationship with her. If it is your father's nakedness. So now you see. This is what the nakedness is. It is the sexual relationship. This is the way they explain sexual relationships back then. As for the nakedness of your sister, either your father's daughter or or your mother's daughter, whether born in the household or born outside the household. So what that means is even if she is somebody that is outside of the household, so she was not born, she's not your physical. In other words, you're not she may not be you may not say, well, you'll say, well, she's not my sister through my mother, but she's my sister through my father. And then you still go have sexual relationships with her. That's what he's saying is wrong. So you're not to do that we're not doing that anymore. You're not going to be doing this anymore. Before these laws came down, there probably was a lot of this going on. So the law now, God is putting the law in place. He's setting the standards for people in this. He's setting the standards. Um, so you see, if you read further down, it still talks about the nakedness. The nakedness you should not approach. Whoever, your sister, your brother, these are all these are all relatives, people you are dealing with, your neighbors, husbands, or anything. Let me see here. I'm gonna drop down to 19. I think it's 19 I wanted to drop down to. Okay, let me go. Let's drop back up to 18. Right, just 18 real quick. 17, I mean. So in 17, in Leviticus 18, here he says, you shall not uncover the nakedness of a woman and of her daughter. So meaning you shall not have relationships with a woman, nakedness, meaning you having sexual relationships with a woman and of her daughter, nor shall you take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness. They are blood relatives. It is an outrageous sin. So when you take the relationships of people that are within your family and you have a sexual relationship with people that are members of your family, you are committing egregious and very outrageous sin. It's like a brother having a sexual relationship with his stepmother's daughter. She's your stepmother, and you thought, well, she's not my sister by blood. So no, she's still, excuse me, in sense, she is still related because your stepmother is married to your father. So she is part of you. You cannot do, and he's saying you cannot do that, even though they probably have done that in time. And even now, we have some of that probably going on. Even at this time, people consider, well, she's my fifth cousin, so it doesn't really matter. It does matter because y'all are related. On 18, we see here, you shall not marry a woman in addition to your sister as a second wife while she is alive to uncover her nakedness. So this one threw me a little bit for a loop. Um, and you shall not marry a woman in addition to your sister as a second wife while she is still alive to uncover her nakedness. In other words, you're having you're marrying a woman. So you're marrying a woman who is part of your sister, who is part of your sister's relationship, and you want to use her as your second wife, and and she is, and this woman, and you want to have just to uncover her nakedness because you just want to have sex with her. You can't do it. This is something that he's telling you you can't do. You can't marry her in addition to your sister, just to uncover this woman's nakedness. Also, you shall not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness during her menstrual impurity. When a woman has her menstrual cycle, you can't involve her menstrual cycle. You have to wait till that time because she's unclean at this time, so you cannot have that relationship with her at that time. And you shall not have sexual intercourse with your neighbor's wife to defile with her. uh, so in other words, you can't go next door and knock on your neighbor's not at home and you go next door and you go and hit your neighbor's wife because it's a sin. You shall not give, you shall not give any of your children to offer them to malice, malice, nor shall you profane the name of your God. I am your Lord. So you're not to give your children to to, to offer them for malicious, malicious, malicious acts or anything like that. You shall not sleep with a male as one sleeps with a female. It is an abomination. So men sleeping with men, women sleeping with women. It's an abomination. Now I know this is going to touch this part 22. It's going to, I'm stepping on some toes here, but don't come beat up on the messenger. I'm just the messenger. I'm giving you the word. You take it as you want it. And if you take it, you take it. If you don't take it, then that's on you. But I'm not judging anybody here. I'm just reading the word and telling you the word. So as you see, man shall not lie down with man, woman shall not lie down with woman. It's an abomination. We weren't made that way, but so be it. Yeah, I know there's going to be a lot of arguments over this, but that's what it is. I'm not here to argue with you, not here to fight with you. Also, you shall not have sexual intercourse with any animal to be defiled with it. So, in other words, having sex with goats, having sex with any type of animal, dog, cat, any type of animal. You're not to have sex with it. Here we go. Nor shall any woman stand before an animal to mate with it. It is a preservate previous pervert act. It's a pervert act. It's ungodly. So he is saying to you, this is ungodly. We're not to do any of these things. So this is all based on a relationship. This is the thing that God is putting before them and everything else. He's putting these things out. So the land that he's driving them, he's bringing them to. He doesn't want them to bring that into that land. As we see, you don't want him. He doesn't want to bring these things into that land. And as we see right here, he is saying, 24 in verse 24, do not defile yourself by any of these things, for by all these things the nation which I am driving out from you have become defiled. So he's driving these other nations that are among them, that within the Israelites, because it's not just only just all Hebrews. There's some Gentiles mixed in with them. There's some other type of people that are different nationalities that are mixed with them that make up Israel. And so what he's saying, I'm driving those out. In other words, as we say in the football world, when we're doing our hitting thing, we're separating the boys from the men. We're separating the warriors from the soft, the warriors from the ones that's going to run. We want the warriors. So that's what he's kind of like doing here. He's taking the purity, he's keeping everything pure. For the land has become defiled. Therefore I have brought its punishment upon it. So the land has vomited out its inhabitants. So the people that lived there, the land has removed these people. It became bad. Now God has made the land good again, and but as for you, you are to keep my statutes and my judgment, and you shall not do any of these abominations, neither the native or the stranger who resides among you. So this is what he has told the Israelites in this sense. I'm going to go a little further down. I'm going to see, okay, that's basically it there. We have done mostly all of the abomination of everything. So now what we're going to jump to, I'm going to try to get to chapter 19 here. Chapter 19. And let me see if I can get 19 on for us. And 19, we're going from 19. Oh, it just gives me all the 19. So I'm just going to hit 19 here. Oops. There we go, 19. All right. Okay. So same book I'm reading out of. And this is idols that are forbidden. Now, here, what God is saying here in 3. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought I was jumping ahead a little bit. So he's telling him to speak to the congregation. He's telling Moses, he told Moses to speak to the congregation. You are to revere, you shall revere his mother. You shall revere his mother and his father. So meaning you should honor your mother and father. Thou shalt keep the Sabbath. I am the Lord your God. He's reiterating certain things to them. When you bring a peace offering here in 5, he says, now you're giving a sacrifice as a peace offering. Now, when you offer a sacrifice of peace offering to the Lord, you shall offer it so that you may be accepted. So you may be accepted. So your offering, remember, as we read before, offerings have to be with no blemish, no defects. You can't bring a lamb or a bull who has one eye. It's a defect. It has a limp. It has a defect. So these things you cannot have a defect. Here it says in 6, it shall be eaten on the same day you offer it. So when you sacrifice it up, you eat it on the same day. You eat the offer you that you offered up on the same day. And on the next day, same thing. But what remains until the third day shall be burnt with fire. So anything that's eaten, if you try to go to eat something 3 days later on the third day, you burn it up. You burn it up. But if you don't burn it up, you eat it on the third day. So if it is eaten at all on the third day, it is unclean. It will not be accepted. So it will not be accepted. And everyone who eats it will bear the consequences for his guilt, because he has profaned the holy thing of the Lord, and that person shall be cut off from his people. Okay, now we're going to go into various laws. Now we're going to get into various laws. So you will be cut off if you eat anything, or anybody with you eat something on the third day. So remember, first day you sacrificing the peace offering, you sacrifice it, you eat it. Now if you're going to go a second day, you eat it. A third day, you just burn it. You burn it, let it burn up, and you be clean. But if you eat it, and whoever else is with you eat it, you are cut off from the tribe. Now, as we're looking in uh, verse 9, I almost say, I keep saying chapters, verse 9. Now we see here, now when you reap the harvest of your land, this is the food that you have planted in vain. You shall not reap the very edges of your field, nor shall you gather the glean of your harvest, and you shall not glean your vineyard, nor shall you gather the fallen grapes of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the needy and for the stranger. I am the Lord your God. Now understand this. God is saying to you, when you reap, when you go and pull up your corn or whatever things you put into the ground and you got them, you leave the edges, because the poor will come and eat from your your harvest. They will eat, if it's corn, whatever, if it's wheat, they will eat that, and things, or they will be able to feed themselves. If you have grapes, if the grapes fall on the ground, you are to leave them grapes there. If they're low hanging, allow the poor to grab those low hanging fruits. You get the other fruits. Let them grab the low hanging fruits. The same. The stranger is coming. He's wandering. He's coming through your town. He sees your 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 vineyard. He sees your harvest there. He can take that. Now, from what I understand back then, if I'm not mistaken, and you may ask your pastors, if they were coming and they were traveling, they can stay within the harvest and eat their share and then move on. But they couldn't take it and just go on, because then it would be considered stealing. So what they would do is sit there and eat their fill, then move on to the next place. And that's what I, that's back then where they did things. So you sort of like you take care of the needy. Verse 11, you shall not steal, nor deal falsely, nor lie to one another. And you shall not swear falsely by my name, so as to profane the name of your God. I am your Lord. Now, you are not to steal. We know that. It's a moral law. You shall not bear false witness. You shall not deal falsely with people. Now the swearing means as well, I swear by God, that is profaning. When you swear on God's name, he's saying you profane his name. 13, you shall not oppress your neighbor nor rob him. You have to be fair with people. You can't just rob people and do things. The wages of hired workers or are not to remain with you all night until morning. So the wages, when you have workers and you hire them, are not to remain with you. Their wages are not to remain with you all night until morning. You are to pay them at the end of the day. Here, this is because back then we paid. Now, in this day and age, you work 40 hours. After 40 hours, they must pay you your fee. You shall not curse a person who is deaf, nor put a stumbling block before a person who is blind, but you shall revere your God. I am the Lord your God. Cursing a person who is deaf, meaning the person can't hear you, so you're bad mouthing the person because they can't hear. You're not to put anything in front of a blind person because they can't see. Even a person who is spiritually deaf, you're not to curse them because they can't understand what is coming from you in a spiritual sense. So you don't want to curse that person who is spiritually deaf, the person who is spiritually blind. You don't want to make them a stumbling block. You want to bring them into the light. You want to bring the person that's deaf into the light, meaning the physical deaf ear that can't hear. You want them to be able to understand what you're saying. The same with the person that is blind. So this is what God is saying to you. Here we do a lot of people do this. You shall not do injustice in judgment, meaning that means like you don't bear falsely to people when it's in the judgment. People's lives is on the line, or their freedom may be on the line, and you do something unjustly to them. Here we are. You shall not show partiality to the poor or give preference to the great, but you are to judge your neighbor fairly. So in other words, you got a friend that's very poor, you got a person that very high class, but you take the high class person's word over the poor person when the poor person is telling you something that is true, and the the high class person, because he or she thinks they're better than the poor person, you're going to take their word over them. This is a lot of times what we've seen back in the day with white and black. If a black person was telling the truth, the white person would tell the sheriff, well, sheriff, you're going to take the word over this person versus me. And that's the partiality. You judge it fairly. Well, his state, you don't do, God is saying, don't do that. And we see a lot of that today. We see a lot of this today, even now in this day and age where we're saying we've gotten better, but now, um, racism, which is not dead, but racism has really reared its ugly head, meaning it has come out more into the open than before. It was a little bit suppressed, but now it has really pushed itself out in front for everybody to see, and it's being real unfair to people. You shall not go about as a slanderer, meaning telling people about people and being jealous of anybody. You are to be a fair and minded person. He's telling this. Now, if a man has sexual relationships with a woman who is a slave acquired for another man, but who has in no way been redeemed nor given her freedom, there shall be a punishment. And this one back then, slave is not this word slave here is not a person that's enslaved. This is a person who is. It could be a person who was caught in a battle. You know, when other countries fight other countries back then, and they killed all the people and they took their women. Those people that were captive did become slaves, and then you have an indentured slave, which is a person that you own. This most likely is a person that is a slave that was caught in battle, and he's saying you're having sexual relationships with this woman, and it was required for another man, but who has in no way been redeemed nor given her freedom. She hasn't been redeemed. She hasn't been meaning you haven't paid for her, and she hasn't been given her freedom. There shall be a punishment, and they shall not, however, be put to death because she was not free. So you can't be put to death, but there is a punishment for this. It's saying to you. Now, as we go on, as you read through 19, I'm not going to go all the way through 19, everything, but this is basically what God is saying to us. Now, what I want to do, we're going to go, I told you we were going to go to 1 Corinthians. We're like about 18 minutes, 18 minutes, that we're 41 minutes into our show. Uh, that's what we say when I'm in the studio, when I'm telling Dr. Lewis how much time he has with his show. So I have 14 minutes here. We're gonna look at chapter 6, 18 through 20. 18 through 18 through 20. Okay. Now in 18 through 20, people. Oh, wait a minute. I see why, Michael. Okay. Let's see if that clears it up for me. Okay, people. Wait. I must. I'm sorry about this. Like I say, sometimes when I'm on my computer, this little laptop, it gives me such a hard way to go. It just want to be stubborn with everything it do. It don't want to. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now it's much better. Okay, this is in this sense in First Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 18 through 20. We're going to be honoring God with our bodies. And we see here in Corinthians, Paul is talking to the Corinthians, and he reminds us that our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, and that we are called to honor God with our bodies. If you read part of Romans or you heard Paul, he says, let your body be a living sacrifice to God. Meaning you're giving everything. You're giving up all the materialistic things, and you're devoting your life to God. Here we've heard the terminology. Your body is a temple. God dwells within your temple. God dwells with each of our temples. in the great sermon in Matthew with Jesus when he says for us to be a light to the salt of the world and a salt of the earth and light of the world, meaning we are the we are the people. When people look at us, they see the godliness of us. They see the Christ-like of us. When they look in from a dark place, they see light. They see that lighthouse that they can go to. And that's what he's saying here in this. So Paul is saying this. Um, we are to flee from sexual immorality and live lives that are pure and holy before God. Just as the Israelites were called to be holy in their actions and choices, we too are called to live lives that are pleasing to God in every way. So, same thing here, what it's saying here, 18 through 20, just what I read. Sexual immoralities, meaning anything the way we have read, you're going to defile. You're going to have sexual relationships with a sister, or you're going to have sexual relationships with a married woman or a married man. Those are things he doesn't want to do. Once again, I'm going to step on some toes here, but a man and a man having sexual relationships, it's a sin. A woman and a woman having sexual relationship, it's a sin. You're defiling yourself, you're defiling your temple. That's what he's saying. Now, like I said, if I stepped on your toes here, that's not me. This is reading from the Bible, and as the book says, that your ears hear, that your ears hear. Those who hear, let them hear. Those who don't, they don't. And that's all I can really say. I'm not going to say you're going to hell or you're going to be damned. But this is what the Bible says, and I am not going to argue back and forth with you on that. You heard the word. The word is going forth for you. Or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God, and that you are not your own, for you have been bought for a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body. Now, that verse 20, that price you've been bought for is when Jesus Christ went to the cross. That's the price. That's the same thing he is telling you. Paul is telling you, because this is not telling the Israelites. The Israelites, this is hundreds of years after the Israelites. Christ now comes. He has become that price that we bought. He paid these sins for the past, and he's paying the sins for the future of mankind. So this is what we are to present ourselves as: loving human beings, loving people, loving each other, loving ourselves, loving each other, being compassionate, being compassionate and forgiveness. That's what Paul is saying to people here. Yeah, I'm doing something. Hi, how you doing? That's my son walking in. Okay. And 4, be holy, for I am holy. And this is in 1 Peter 1 through 14 and 6. And Peter, 1 Peter, um, uh, it echoes the words of God to the Israelites, calling us to be holy because God is holy. We are called to live lives that are set apart from the world, following the examples of Christ and striving for holiness in all that we do. As children of God, we are called to be light in the dark world, striving with the holiness of God and drawing others to him through our actions and words. So we are to be holy and understand that this is giving us, God has given us Christ to be the perfect sacrifice for us. And we should walk Christ like to give God the holiness to glorify him in his name. So in my conclusion, before I leave here, um, so as we reflect on the instructions God's given to the Israelites on how to live holy lives, may we also examine ourselves, examine our own lives, and seek to live in a way that is pleasing to God by following his commandments and striving for holiness in all that we do. We can experience the fulfillment of life that God has called us called us to. Let us commit ourselves to living holy before God in our church, in our choices, our relationships, and our actions, so that His light His light may shine through us and bring glory to His name. So, with that, that is that, and I'm going to be saying um, our next Saturday's Bible Bible study. We will be still in the book of Leviticus. We'll be in the book of Leviticus, but we'll be talking about the way to worship God, and that will be Leviticus 26, all the way from verse 3 all the way to verse 40. We will be in Leviticus 26, and also in Romans 12, verse 1, and Romans 14, verse 10 to 12. So I hope to see you then. And until then, like I have said, for any donations, upper right hand corner, just click on it and send whatever you would like to send. You can also catch us on tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. We will have our morning Sunday service, and at 9 o'clock, we'll be putting it on Facebook. But at 9 o'clock, you can listen to our gospel music hour on the RBM Smooth Radio from 9 to 11:30. I believe this time it'll be 9 to about maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because sometimes we move time further. But until then, may God bless each and every one of y'all, and I'll see you on Wednesday and Sunday.